So stories work. So let me share with you a quick story. It works like this. Now, back in 2005, me and my wife Amy went on our honeymoon to Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt. Talk about hot. We stepped off the plane, and as we walked down those mobile stairs, it felt like someone was stood there blowing the hottest hairdryer directly into our faces. Now we collected our bags, and after a short 15-minute journey, we arrived at our hotel of choice. Now, as the taxi pulled up, I noticed a colourful band at the front of the hotel entrance. The hotel staff came to the taxi, they opened my wife's door, and as her foot touched the ground, the band started to play Here Comes the Bride. My wife put her foot back into the taxi. She held my hand and said, "Well done, love. Well done." I knew nothing about it, but I took it. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. We walked into that hotel reception to the sound of music, and we were greeted by a small lady behind the reception. She had the biggest smile on her face. Her first words were, "Welcome to the Ritz-Carlton, Mr. and Mrs. Scott, and congratulations on your recent wedding day." We'd never met this woman before. She said, "Please take a seat. Enjoy those Key Royales we prepared for you, and we'll take care of everything from here." We sat down with smiles from ear to ear. We knew in the first 60 seconds we made a great choice. After a seamless check-in, we were greeted by a guy called Mustafa. He popped our suitcases onto the back of this golf buggy, and we took our seats, and he drove us to our apartment, giving us a guided tour of the hotel en route. And the room, as we arrived, it was perfect. On the bed, they had rose petals. There was a basket of fruit on the side, a bottle of champagne on ice. They even had a towel that was perfectly sculptured in the shape of a swan. Mustafa said to us, "Is there anything else that I can get for you, Mr. and Mrs. Scott?" I said, "Can you do me a favor, Mustafa? Can you get us 2 bottles of water?" In the blink of an eye, they appeared. Now, during our 2-week honeymoon, we did some amazing things, from visiting the pyramids to a camel ride across the Sinai Desert. But our experience at the hotel, it was amazing. We had scented baths, we watched the whirling dervish night, we had rock salt massages, and even had a foot spa. I've had a foot massage, never had one since, but it was great. We did a lot, and we spent an absolute fortune. We even had all of our washing ironed and pressed before we returned home. Now, just imagine returning home with all of your washing and ironing done. I mean, that's going to feel great, right? We did that. Cost us a fortune, though, right? Each time we went to the bar, the barman remembered our drinks. We never had to ask twice. When we left the hotel, it was like leaving my mum and dad's house on a Sunday afternoon. Do you know those moments when you leave your mum and dad's house and everyone comes to the front of the house and go, "See you later, love. All right, have a safe journey." Is that just me, or did that happen to you as well? It was like leaving mum and dad's house on a Sunday afternoon. All of the hotel staff were outside the front of the hotel waving us goodbye as we traveled back to Leeds. Now, I did some research on the Ritz-Carlton when I got home, and I read about 3 key principles that all of their hotels absolutely follow. Principle number 1 is they make sure that their guests always have a warm welcome. We experienced that. Principle number 2, anticipate the customer's needs. The customer should never ask twice. We experienced that. And principle number 3, always provide our customers with a warm goodbye. No, we definitely experienced that. So why am I sharing this story? Well, there's a couple of things that we can learn that will help us when it comes to presenting. First one being stories work. They're engaging and they're memorable. And Emma's already talked about the fact that, it's important to explain in crayon. For me, I'm like Emma. I have lots and lots of slides, but there's lots and lots of pictures They're just hand-drawn pictures. I don't have bullet points on slides. They're not messy. They're not noisy. They're not full of content. They've just got pictures, and I bring them to life by telling a story. Now, I read something recently, and it said people are 22 times more likely to remember a story over a list of bullet points on a slide. So if there's one thing that you do, and it doesn't have to be a lengthy story like my honeymoon, it could just be a simple sentence that is a story that connects the audience to you and the message. So stories definitely work. The story is going to make your pitch more interesting and memorable. I mean, I've only just heard Emma's opening session, 15 minutes, but I can remember some of the key stories that she shared. Okay, so stories definitely make the pitch more interesting and memorable. And if you're memorable for the right reasons, then you're going to be more likely to win the business. And what the stories do, they evoke emotions, which can help to build stronger connections with people. And if people like you, they feel like they know you, they trust you. We know all about this sort of stuff, the whole piece around know, like, and trust. Okay. People remember how they felt during a story and how you made it relatable to them and their business. But what's also important from that story that I shared with you is that we've got to have a good structure. Okay. Now, Emma talked about, 3 simple things. She breaks it down into 3 simple things, right? And so when it comes to pitching ideas, we've got to think about the primacy and the recency effect. Okay. The start of every presentation, you've got to fight for the first 5 seconds. We are less interested and less engaged in what we used to be. And so if you mess up in those first 5 seconds, you've lost a lot of people. So we've got to start well. And we've also got to think about how do we end on a high? They're the bookends for the presentation, the start and the end, the primacy and the recency effect.